Vex.
Oh, Andrea Tessmann.
Yes, Kirk Buchner.
February 21st, 1981. Maybe you weren't going to work that day. I know I wasn't going to work that day, but a lot of people were. And
were they going to work at 9 a.m.?
They very well might have gone to work at 9 a.m. and when they were done, the clock might have been at 5.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And as they were going to work, they might have put on the radio station, whether it was country music or country station, or whether it was like a regular pop top 40 station. If it was a black station, they probably weren't playing that. But they may have been playing this. Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. Her first #1 hit, but just on the top 40. This woman had already been a #1 hit maker on the country charts for a long, long time. Dolly Parton for me, so this one came out in 81, so I would have been 9. And certainly pop culture aware. And she was one of the biggest stars to me, at least that's the way it was presented in my head, in country music. Am I wrong?
She really was.
Yeah.
And I think as a non-country music listener, it was only a few years ago that I realized just how prolific she was with writing. Never mind with her, like, she was extremely prolific with her own catalog, but her writing catalog is enormous. She's written something like more than 4,000 songs. So, yeah, I didn't realize that because, of course, I know her hits and I know some other stuff, and she's certainly a very recognizable figure. But yeah, I didn't realize just how big of a country celebrity she actually is.
This was her crossover, like foray right into the mainstream. It just propelled her from, I don't want to say B level because that's not quite right, but I do want to, because she was an A-level star in the country music scene. But now she was a mainstream player because of this song, but mostly that movie. But before we get there, I read one of the coolest things I ever read about her that I didn't know. I only read that just yesterday, actually, when you said that we were going to do this song. I knew for a long time that she was the person who wrote "I Will Always Love You," the one that Whitney Houston took #1 and might be one of the biggest selling singles, or that I know that album from The Bodyguard is one of the biggest selling soundtracks ever. What I didn't know, and you probably came across this too, was that Elvis wanted to cover that.
I didn't know that either. I'm glad he didn't.
I'm glad he didn't. Not necessarily because I don't know that he couldn't have done it. I think Elvis could. It was just the shitty deals that would have came with that. I always knew that Tom Parker sort of crowbarred in Elvis as a songwriter and songwriting credits, and Elvis didn't write shit. Maybe he wrote fake prescriptions for himself in the later years, but he sure as hell didn't write any songs. And that's not not a shot at Elvis. Not everyone's a songwriter, but Tom Parker really protected his clients, and Dolly Parton, even though a lot of people said, well, it's Elvis, how can you say no? She was a big enough star, because I don't know if that was after she had her first real big country hit, Jolene, which if anyone hasn't heard that song, go listen to that. That is probably my favorite Dolly Parton
say,
song.
In terms of Jolene, and to bring that into current day, when Dolly got her vaccine, did you hear her little play on Jolene?
No. What'd you sing? Vaccine?
Vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, get it when you can. And then it was, 'cause when you're, oh, no, what was it? I'm begging of you, please do vaccinate or something. And then, 'cause when you're dead, it's going to be too late. And she contributed a ton of money towards COVID relief. I want to say, I can't even remember. I can't remember how many zeros, but there were a lot of zeros.
She has a lot of zeros to give.
She does.
It's incredible. This Dolly Parton, it's someone I've always known was a major star who had a lot of bank, but I never really took a look at everything she did until you suggested this. And it's kind of funny. Like, it's right on your face,
so
right?
I have to say, I have repeatedly over and over and over and over said I dislike country music. I like Dolly. It's impossible to not like Dolly.
I agree.
Someone I read said she's a human ray of sunshine. And she genuinely seems to be a good person.
It is.
And I like some of her music. I don't like all of it. But, you know, when you start hearing that dun, 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 no matter where I am, I'm going to start with bumble out of bed and stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. With a really bad Southern drawl.
Well, it's better than I could do.
Shopping mall, in my car, I will belt that shit out.
Yeah, well, out here in Barbados, the songs that I kind of crank up, it's the devil music down here. You know, Van Halen, stuff like that. They just don't get that.
What's down there? Dance hall, mostly.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, pretty much. You've got your R&B station, your soca dance hall station, the other soca dance hall station, mix of reggae and dance hall, and that's pretty much it. It's not exactly. I mean, it's a musical hotbed for that, in terms of finding people who really understand anything beyond that. No, they don't have a clue, mostly, but they don't have to.
So back to Dolly. Yeah,
back to Dolly. I think with that Elvis thing, that really summed up how she bought into herself, and she wasn't going to let herself be taken advantage of.
She is a very astute businesswoman, and she always has been. She knew what she wanted. She was at a young age. Let's just talk about her. She was born like dirt poor, like one room shack in Tennessee in the mountains with, they grew up with 11 siblings, so 12 of them total, plus the parents. Apparently her mom had 12 children by the time she was 36 years old.
Jesus.
That's insane to me. So, dirt poor, she wrote the song Coat of Many Colors she's written a few songs about her poor upbringing, but basically, even talking about the horrible in terms of poverty upbringing, she always said there was always love in the house, and there was always, they found happiness anyways. And so the Coat of Many Colors is about basically how her mom had to sew together scraps of fabric to make her a coat. And so then she, I guess her dad one of them had musical talent. I can't remember. But anyways, she basically, when she graduated school, moved to Nashville and got herself a job as a songwriter, and then she wanted to, as she was performing, she was being pigeonholed into a pop star. They wanted to make her bubblegum pop because she had that higher timbre, cutesy voice, and she did that for a little while, and it never really got anywhere. And so she had to prove that she was a country singer, and set out and did it. And then she got back more into pop, but that was her own choice to some extent, to kind of get into that hybrid country pop before the current modern pop or modern country that is all pop basically came about.
Do you consider 9 to 5 even a country song?
I think 9 to 5, it really is. It walks a fine line between country and pop. I don't think it's pure anything. I think it's a mix of country and pop with a little bit of sort of an R&B feel to it that just stands alone, and it's kind of not categorizable. you know what I mean.
Yep.
I don't think that's a word, but that's fine. So yeah, I think that she's astute. She's very smart. She knew what she was doing. And I mean, she's incredibly understated in terms of her business acumen. I think she's always downplayed. She's played up the ditzy blonde and downplayed the savvy businesswoman.
I think she uses that to her advantage. I think people have, even no matter how successful she gets, they're going to underestimate her. And I think that's part of just her being female, part of her being, again, blonde, part of her having, let's just say, large endowments.
Well endowed.
Yes. Yeah, and there are automatically some things that you'll look at her, you're going to think this is what she is. 9 to 5, we can't talk about the song without talking about the movie. Did you rewatch it?
Honestly, yes, but it's not rewatching. I had never actually watched it.
Oh, okay.
Looking at, I was 1 month old when this song topped the charts. So it was when I was a, younger person looking at videos in the video store. It was too old to be really all that interesting. And the description of it was like, okay, whatever. And then it's something that I'd heard is worthwhile watching in later years, but just never got around to. So I had to dig a little bit to find it. But I watched it last night, and it's really held up over the years very, very well.
Absolutely.
Partly, I think, unfortunately, because a lot of the themes of the movie are still themes today, in terms of, the glass ceiling and unequitable pay and a lot of things like that. Thankfully, it's not as bad as all of that in the movie, but I think they did a really good job of, putting it through as a comedy. Apparently, Jane Fonda wanted it to be a drama originally.
Figures.
And then they realized that it wouldn't be taken seriously as a drama, so you might as well put it out as a comedy and try and get your point across. But I didn't realize that it was actually like Jane Fonda's pet project.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that either. And arguably,
and she imagined Dolly Parton's role specifically for Dolly Parton.
Yeah, no, I will argue that Jane Fonda's very selfless in this movie because she's, I'll argue, the weakest part of the 4 main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Dolly Parton, and you got to give her credit. This launched her acting career, but she didn't go full blow into acting. And when she did take a role, she didn't say, "Oh yeah, you know what? I'll play Shakespeare."
No, that's. I think she knew her limitations. But I thought, this was her acting debut.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from being on a variety show for 6 or 7 years, years before that, but that was basically playing music on TV, not really acting too much. But I didn't also realize that when she agreed to take the role, she only did it with the stipulation that she would be allowed to write the theme song.
Again, she's thinking she's playing 4D chess.
Yeah. And the theme song is the movie and the theme song both work together so brilliantly and catapulted both of them into popularity, I think.
I can argue that Dolly actually is, out of the 3 women, and we haven't talked about Lily Tomlin, the 3 main actresses in there, all 3 who are still working today. Go figure. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. You think like Dolly's probably got the biggest net worth out of all of them? Has to, right?
I would say yes, she has to. And it's a huge part of the fact that she produces other artists. Mm-hmm. She writes songs for so many people. She has so many streams of income, not to mention Dollywood and all of her theme park and entertainment empire.
I gotta say, Andrea, when they first launched Dollywood, I think it was like 86, and I heard that. I thought, who the hell's going to go to this? Well, 3 million people a year, Buchner. So,
yeah, it is the 24th largest theme park in the States.
I don't even really know what the theme is.
And that says a lot for a country that loves their theme parks.
Like, I guess, like, what is the... I don't even know what the theme of that park is. What, just, like, backwater country down-home shit? I don't know.
I don't know either. I've never been. I don't know. If I were in that part of the world, I might check it out just to see what the hype's all about.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe Dolly might just show up.
Probably not.
Yeah, with that movie, it just for those who haven't really seen it, basically it's 3 women who are going through work problems, all because of one sexist, bigoted boss. And I will say, whoever cast Dabney Coleman in that, mwah, chef's kiss.
Dabney Coleman is the epitome of slimy, smarmy asshole. Like, he just I don't think I know of a single movie he's in where he doesn't play that character. But he plays it so well.
He's probably a great guy. Maybe he's not.
Probably.
I don't know. But Dabney Coleman, I mean, he's your go-to 80s douchebag.
Yep.
And he does it well. He, to me, was fantastic. I don't know that this movie works with another actor. I'm sure it could work with another actor, but I just can't see anyone sort of replaying what he did. I don't see anyone doing what Dolly did. I don't see anyone doing what Lily Tomlin did. Jane Fonda, I do, but again... That was kind of by her choice, and she was the biggest name going into it. So the 3 women are just going through just awful things and it's captured on almost everything by that song. And while this movie is really a woman's anthem about being disrespected, did you notice the song really doesn't do that at all? It's genderless.
No, it doesn't. And I think it's very much still relevant today because it isn't entirely about oppressed women in the workforce.
No.
It's not about, so the song was written while the movie was in production. She had the script, they were already filming, and they were partway through filming when she apparently played it for the first time for Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. And apparently they were just over the moon about it because it so perfectly summarizes the movie, but it does it from more of Lily Tomlin's character's point of view, who is she's kind of the level-headed, she's a supervisor, and she's trying for promotions, and she's got tons of great ideas, but she's just being shat on left, right, and center, and her boss is stealing her ideas and passing them off as his own, and she's trying for a promotion, and there's a line in the song about, I deserve a big promotion, and so the song mirrors the movie, but it doesn't do it from Dolly Parton's character's point of view, which would be a totally different song, because she is kind of cast as the beautiful blonde, not necessarily bimbo, but at the beginning of the movie, her boss is making constant passes at her, and she's putting up with it and laughing it off because, well, that's what you do, until she finds out that he's basically told the whole office that they're having an affair, at which point she shuts it down, and her character grows a backbone. So it's an interesting thing to see, but if the song came from that character's perspective, it would have been very dated. Because you can't get away with that shit anymore. Like, if your boss buys you an Hermes scarf, there's a problem. Like, whereas in this case, it's just, fancy gifts from your boss, or, because you're doing a little bump and tickle on the side. Like, it's a different era. It would be much more dated. Whereas, as you said, this song, it doesn't talk about women. It doesn't talk about sexism particularly. It basically just talks about the drudgery of that 9-to-5 grind in a boring office. And I have to say, if you were to just read the lyrics without knowing the song, without hearing the song, you end up with, it's a very angry sounding song. Just read the lyrics.
Yeah, lyrically, I agree with you. But nothing she does can sound angry. Even Jolene, if you listen to those words.
Well, that's exactly it. She puts this, like, strong-willed... happy is not the right word. But, I mean, yes, it has... The whole song is uplifting and happy. But it's more of a... You know, the lyric, it's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. Mm-hmm. Just speaks for the whole song. Like, don't let the grind wear you down. Just keep on grinding and get through it. And, you know, work your way up if you can. I think it's got a positive tone to it.
I think, yeah, that's the other thing with Dolly's voice and inflection. Everything she does is hope. There's a line in that movie where she goes home, and that's before she finds out that Dabney Coleman's character, Mr. Hart, yeah, that's the character's name, has pretty much implied that they've been an item. She says, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, I'm just sweet as pie. That's who she is.
Yeah. And she even says, because Jane Fonda's character is new, and she's like, oh, maybe we should go out for lunch. And, of course, Jane Fonda's been warned about her. Oh, she's sleeping with the boss. You don't want to associate with her. So she's like, oh, you know, I'm busy. And she's like, oh, how about tomorrow we should go out? And it's like, nope, busy then too. It's like, wow, you're kind of like, see you next Tuesday. But it's that you don't want to be you don't want to be like painted with the same brush as the woman who's sleeping with the boss. So you have to avoid her. But yeah, she's just very sweet. And even her interactions with Mr. Hart are, they're very soft and kind. He's aggressively trying to grab her and touch her and lure her over to his house. Or at one point it's like, oh, well, I'll have to invite you to a conference. And she says something like, oh, well, next time you invite me to a conference, there should be a conference there. Like, but she's so nice about it. Whereas nowadays, like, I would have just punched him in the throat.
Well, no, you're too level-headed. You would have got him fired and then got his job. And a nice cash settlement there, Andrea.
But it's a different era.
It's a very different era. I mean, nowadays, not that this is necessarily wrong, but it might have swung too far the other way in just some weird. I'm going to go on a tangent if I could. I worked in a place. Yeah, I know. So just bring me back. Thank you. So I had a buddy who had to go into HR. So a couple jobs ago that I had, and it was because he said that women, there were some nice looking women in the Maxim magazine. Female coworker got offended by that. He almost lost his job. That's to me a little bit going the other way.
Yes. Now, context and things is a thing, but I agree. Like,
well, the context in question is he said that because we had a new employee whose last name was Maxon, so he was referring to Maxim magazine. Oh, just like the women there, they're pretty good looking, huh? Yeah, and the guy said, "Oh, yeah, too bad I don't own it." Ha ha ha. Moving on.
Yeah, I don't think someone should have come close to losing their job over that. But you know what? Sometimes also you have to think of the person that you're referring to, and maybe they've had a lot of jokes made about their name in reference to half-dressed women in the men's magazine.
No, they were both male. It's just a woman overheard this conversation.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, there's definitely situations where people take things too far.
True. But I'll actually bring myself back here. I think this is also where Dolly Parton didn't just arrive. Everyone just realized pretty quickly, this woman's, okay, she's acting on screen. You see her on interviews with Carson, whatever it would have been. There's nobody who can fake this well. Dolly Parton was Dolly Parton 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you not like her? You can't. I think it also worked in that movie that they had 3 completely different characters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised, actually. I know Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda work together again, I think, in some Netflix show that I don't watch.
Grace and Frankie.
Yes, okay. I haven't seen it. But Tomlin and...
It's actually really good.
Is it? Yeah, I've seen reviews on that. Tomlin and Dolly could have been... They had some pretty good chemistry there, too, I thought. They could have definitely done something.
Oh, I think they've worked together a few times over the years.
Mm-hmm. I want to tangent another thing. Did you see that? So I sent you a video on the Dick Cavett thing with Lily Tomlin, and it's thumbnailed. Lily Tomlin walks out on Sexist Chad Everett or something to that effect. But it's so much more than that.
And I just wanted to punch that dude in the face repeatedly. And I have no idea who this guy is. So he's some like soap opera star or something. And this interview was what? Late 70s. I think it was before this song.
Oh, well before.
And yeah, he talks about how he owns his wife. And
a joke that missed even in 74.
Happy to be kept. And yeah, literally Lily Tomlin just gets up and walks out.
But did you see?
And I was like,
yeah, but did you hear what he said right after? Like, while she was walking out, she says, well, it's better than being kept by a woman.
Mm-hmm.
In reference to the fact that there was something I didn't know at the time, something a lot of people didn't know. Well, at the time I was 2, so obviously I wouldn't have known. Lily Tomlin was already in a relationship with the same woman she's in with now.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't even come out until only a few years ago.
Yeah, they've been together forever. But yeah, she's been in a relationship with a woman for longer than most Hollywood marriages. Longer
than most stars have been alive. The other interesting thing, I guess, just how big an open secret it was. After she came out, she did an interview where she said that, I might have the magazine wrong, but that she said like People magazine offered her, so I guess they offer like X amount of money at the time. A magazine, kids, is paper that was sort of the internet at the time, and we bought them every week. Just wanted to help out the kids who don't know what a magazine is. Thanks. They offered her a whole lot of money to sort of like break that story. So I guess it was like a pretty open secret back then, which, no internet, no social media. You can pretty much hide that, no matter how many pantsuits you wear.
Well, apparently, even 1975, I think I read something that was Time literally approached her.
Oh, okay, it was probably Time. It was probably Time.
And said they'd give her the cover if she'd come out.
Yeah, so it was Time. Yeah, it must have been Time. So it wasn't People. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It was. Everybody knew it. Nobody really cared, but it was just not something she was willing to do at that time.
Well, it would have ruined her career.
Yes.
At that point.
But yeah, it would. But yeah, she was apparently living with what is her partner? Was it Jane something?
Mm-hmm.
Jane Wagner. Yeah, they've been together since 1971.
Which is awesome.
Brilliant.
Oh, it's incredible. So I guess like moving on from this, because I just wanted to bring it up because I just think it's a fascinating story, and I thought that clip would just sort of hit you in the right spot there, Andrea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's yeah. I found that clip was so offensive, but also good for her for just saying, nope, I'm not dealing with this. I already found when he walked on and he gave her a package and it had like granny panties or something in it, and she laughed it off. Like, that was tasteful of her to not just immediately take offense. But yeah, he was going out there to trying to piss her off.
I think,
and now,
tell a bad
40,
joke.
50 years later, we all know Lily Tomlin, and nobody knows that dick.
He's also dead, and she's alive.
Well, whatever.
So there's that.
Nobody knows who he is.
That's true. That's true. Actually, all 4 of those main actors are still alive, which is pretty cool. Dolly remains... Go ahead.
And active, all still working.
Yes. Yes, that's true. That's very true. So, yeah, Dolly remained a big star throughout the 80s. Iconic. Movie career didn't necessarily take off, but I don't think she cared. I mean, if it was the right role that was something she thought she could do. I mean, but she was so loved that she was part of one of the worst movies of all time, and nobody said it was her fault, in Rhinestone.
I have not watched that.
Don't. The plot is Dolly Parton is a successful country singer who makes a bet that she can make anyone a country singer, and it's Stallone.
Oh.
Yeah. That's pretty much...
Yeah, now I know why I haven't watched it.
Yeah. Maybe one time we should do like a bad movie thing, but I can't do that to you. It's just that... I mean, I can see why Dolly would take it, but Stallone's made so many dumb choices, too.
Well, yeah. But I don't think he's nearly as intelligent as Dolly is.
I don't think he's as stupid as people think he is, but yeah, I'd agree with that assessment. I think I agree that he's not as intelligent, but mostly because I think she's just a genius.
Yes. Yeah, you don't build up. I actually don't know what her net worth is, but it's hundreds of millions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her philanthropy alone is millions and millions of dollars a year. Oh, estimated at $500 million.
Oh,
half a billionaire.
Wow.
I think my favorite of her philanthropy projects is her literacy program that she sends a book a month to every child under kindergarten age that signs up for this program. And there's something like 800,000 kids signed up for this program over the years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's wild.
So
and I'm sure that she's not paying very much for each book because I'm sure the publishing companies have a deal with her and stuff, but still, like, super cool. And I'm assuming it's because her dad was illiterate that she's really passionate about that cause. Well,
and also, I guess, as a songwriter, she knows the power of words and just understanding them. I mean, there's few people who can understand that better than Dolly Parton. So she just remains so big in the 80s. Still, one of those names, even though she hasn't had a hit in a long time, it doesn't matter. It's Dolly fucking Parton.
And she's a songwriter, but she's a storyteller above songwriting even. Like, her hits, her songs, they all tell a story. This song tells a story. Jolene tells a story. Like, everything, and she writes her songs in a very traditional ballad sort of way. Like, okay, let's look at 9 to 5. It starts out with this perfect, like, story setup of, fumble out of bed, stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition, coffee. So it's talking about I'm waking up, and then I jump in the shower, and I get invigorated, and then I'm going out, and traffic's going, and then it bursts into the chorus. So it sets up the entire song in that first verse. It doesn't really tell you anything. It's just like, oh, this is, the morning, we all wake up, we're all a little groggy, and we need our coffee, and we need our shower, and then, and then it's out into the bustle of the real world, and then here's what we do.
Yeah, and even the lines about the boss. Boss will never give you credit. Use your mind and they never give you credit. And that's a genderless thing. I've gone through that. I'm sure you have.
Oh, yeah. I go out of my way now to make sure that when my staff have ideas or do things, that I make sure that not only I give them credit, but I also let other people know that they were the one who deserves the credit for it.
Yeah, and
because I've had it happen to me a lot over the years.
It is, but this shit still happens. So somebody can listen to it now, and lyrically it's not dated. Sonically, it's not either.
No. I mean, you might not have quite the same structure to the song if it came out now, but I think it would still do all right if it came out now. I mean, it would sound slightly different. It would be a little bit different.
Well, she wouldn't do the typewriter bit at the beginning.
That typewriter thing is brilliant. Do you know how she came up with that?
I read that just from her nails.
Yeah, she was just like rattling her acrylic nails together, and she got this cool, like, typewriter sort of sound.
Genius. This woman's a genius. Yeah. Sometimes it's just nice, Andrea. I forget because I just love ragging on people. I forget how nice it is when we've got a great story.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that this is an interesting one because she is a country star, and we're talking about the pop charts.
Right.
So it is there is some interest into how a country song, even though this isn't entirely country,
I don't feel it's country at all
on the pop charts.
I don't get a country vibe from this in the least. Other than that, she's got her twang, and it's Dolly. It's like when Shania Twain had a lot of songs that would go pop, that were really pop songs, but because she had her country roots, they would still go number one on the country charts. Shania Twain to me is not a country and western singer, or at least not in her biggest form of success. To me,
no, she's definitely more pop than country.
Yeah, and Dolly's far more country than pop, but just to me, this is a pop song. But that's just me.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you in that. But then, I think you wanted to talk about the Super Bowl ad.
I do, but you sent me something that happened years before that I'd never seen before. Well, which was, please describe that.
Well, it is a Saturday Night Live short of, what's his name from Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Andy Samberg.
Why am I blanking on his name?
Samberg.
I can picture him.
Andy Samberg.
Sorry, what?
Andy Samberg.
Oh, yeah. Andy Samberg and Paul Rudd and Paul McCartney's in there. So the song is called Stumblin', and it's a spoof on 9 to 5. And it's literally like stumble out of bed and stumble down the hallway, stumble. And it's just like stumbling into this and stumbling into that and stumbling into the band and knocking over this guy and stumbling down the street. And the two of them are literally just doing like this sideways shuffle, half fall all over the city, knocking into people, pushing things over. And then there's a weird interlude with Paul McCartney for no reason at all that has nothing to do with the song.
And he's doing that to another number one, Berlin's "Take My Breath Away." Although he's not doing that. Those words. I'm trying to picture this in a pitch meeting. Okay, so we got Paul Rudd and McCartney here as our guests. I'm going to do a 2-minute thing where I'm just like falling all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren just says, "Yeah, okay, go do it." There's no way that in any pitch this can make any sense, but here it does. Andy Samberg is another person who I just absolutely love. Paul Rudd, how do you not love that guy? Also, how does he not age?
Well, that's just it. That clip it can't be more than 5 or so years old.
I don't know. Well, Samberg hasn't been on that show in a long time.
That's true. But Samberg's also not that old either. Maybe it's, I don't know, but Paul Rudd, who's probably about 50 now.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this
He's
clip
over
was
50.
10 years old. What?
He's over 50.
Even if this clip was 10 or more years old, he can't be under 40. And he looks like he's about 25. Like, he's just, I don't know how he doesn't age.
He looks like he did in Clueless. Alicia Silverstone does not look like she did in Clueless.
Exactly.
Now, if someone's going to say that I'm shaming, I'm age shaming.
Not at all.
All right, well, here's what some people said about the Super Bowl ad. Can I go into that? I got a lot to say.
Why
here.
not?
Right.
Let's rant about that, because I got some stuff to say about that, too.
All right, beauty. All right, so on the Super Bowl, I don't even know if I don't watch commercials, because who does? I do during the Super Bowl, because that was one of the first times I didn't have, it was just Pauline and I. And I was trying to be a super good husband. I was still pissed off my Saints weren't in. But anyway, that's another story for another time. So we watched all that, and then I don't even remember the commercial too much, other than apparently an uproar, like, oh, Dolly Parton's caused controversy. Like, how the fuck did that happen? Then you realize it's because for a company called Squarespace, where you can design your own websites, or they help people do that. So she just changed the words to 9 to 5, and I think I got some of the comments here, and I'm just like, I'm thinking you entitled fucking millennials. You're fucking bullshit. All right, so what's some
For the record, folks, Kirk is actually sober tonight.
I am sober.
So enjoy this sober rant.
You know what? I listened to a couple of the ones we did a couple of weeks ago. Holy shit, was I sloshed. Like, completely obliterated. I remember nothing of what I said.
So back to Dolly Parton's
yes.
5 to 9.
Thank you. All right, so here's a comment here. And for a really, really depressing footnote proving my point, Dolly Parton's now made a version of her 9 to 5 song for ad celebrating side hustles. Great, we can all work 5 to 9 on top of the other 8 hours. Okay. Dolly should not have made that 5 to 9 song for Squarespace. The original song was to complain about the overwhelming burden of work. No, it wasn't. This contraveness that by glorifying this work as a virtue, you have to hustle narrative. That's not what this fucking thing's about. It's about following your dreams and doing this. And this is why it gets me so much. I did this after I finished my job, working on my site. Every day because I wanted to. Because I've got a dream that they'll never take away. Doo-doo-doo.
And when you told me that you were going off on a rant about this,
mm-hmm.
and then I went and I watched it, because honestly, I don't watch the Super Bowl, and the only time I really paid attention to the Super Bowl was to watch the ads, but I don't get the good American ads. You know how crappy the Canadian ones are for the most part.
I'll tell you how to bypass that later if you want.
All right. Yeah. So anyways, I went and I watched it, and I was like, hey, I kind of dig this. And then I was like, went and was like, oh, I bet I know what the controversy is about. And sure enough, clicked on some articles,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh yeah, they're bitching about the fact that this is saying that you should, basically, you have to hustle as well as working your primary job. And I was like, Kirk's going to be pissed about this, specifically because he's working on his hustle, and that's great. And honestly, you're absolutely right. It's about, sure, it might be a side hustle. Now, find something you're passionate about, put the work into it, and then make it your primary job. Get out of the drudgery if you find it drudgery, and find something that's going to make you money. And the whole point of the ad is that Squarespace can help you with that by giving you an easy platform to build your online business. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you watch the ad, the one woman is doing topiaries and garden work. You can't do that after work. That's a daytime thing. Like, this isn't you have to work all night at your side hustle. And some of the arguments about it were, oh, this is totally tone deaf in a time of COVID when, people have to side hustle, delivering food and doing blah, blah, blah just to get by. I'm like, this ad is is about entrepreneurship, not about working for DoorDash. Like, DoorDash is a massive conglomerate that is raping small restaurant business. As are Uber Eats. DoorDash might actually be one of the better ones. Uber Eats is probably the worst. But they literally, yes, they're helping out people who need a side hustle to make ends meet because they're struggling to get by. But all of the money from those side hustles is going back to these mega corporations. That isn't a side hustle. That's someone working 2 jobs to get by. A side hustle is figuring out that you enjoy crocheting chastity belts and posting your chastity belts online and figuring out that there's another weird, fucked up market for crocheted chastity belts. Like,
I don't think they work very well.
Job and making money crocheting chastity belts.
How would they work? I'm pretty sure even my limp dick could penetrate that.
Maybe they have a steel insert.
Okay, well, all right. Well, yeah, maybe. All right.
I don't know. I'm just coming up with bullshit because, you know what? Whatever. A friend of mine has started making stuffed animals because she crocheted stuffed animal, a cute squid for her boyfriend. And now their friends are like, oh my God, that's so cute. So she's opening up an Etsy shop and continuing to crochet these silly stuffed animals and selling them for like probably $40 or $50 a piece. She's never going to actually be able to give up her job for this, but it's given her a bit of extra income. It's something she likes to do. And she's doing it and making some money at it. This whole fucking thing about, oh, you have to work 2 jobs. Yes, you know what? A lot of people have to work 2 jobs, and that sucks. And I'm sorry for you that that's the case. I don't think that is what this commercial is about at all.
Not at all.
And
it's
think
dream
that
chasing.
For Dolly, she went, well, you know what? I had to hustle. I worked 24 hours a day if I had to. I did what I had to do to get where I am. And that's okay.
She's too sweet to say fuck off, millennials, is what it is. Also, I'll say it for you.
Right?
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And every single one of you has your Instagram page you're hoping is going to blow up. Huh? How's your Twitch? How's your TikTok, motherfuckers?
I have a friend that does Twitch and does pretty well at it. She's a gamer anyways, and she's cute, and so she plays video games and people pay to watch her. Hey, you know what? I don't get it.
I don't either, but more power to her. Because
monetize that tip.
That's what it's the same conversation I have with my dad all the time when he hears a big contract in baseball. Well, that's awful. Well, yeah, because they can get it. What do you want? What are they going to say? What's somebody going to say? No, you know what? I think you should give this all to someone else instead. If they feel that way, they could give it all. Some of them, no, I don't know anyone who would. There's just one last comment here that I said from a blue check mark. Just said, Dolly, no, out loud to no one. Of course no one! Who the hell would want to be around you on even the Super Bowl and nobody wants to be around you during that? You motherfucking piece of shit. That's it, I'm done.
Also, I just wanted to say that, like, actually one of the lines in that commercial is something about climb your own ladder. It's not about having to work a second job. It's about doing something that you're passionate about to improve your life and giving up the drudgery. That's about all I have to say about it too. I think that the whole controversy is bullshit, and I think that people need to grow a pair. And by a pair, I mean ovaries, not balls, because you know what? Women are tougher than dudes. And, just why?
Because they're weak.
People are going to shit all over everything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they can shit all over me. That's fine. I'm all right with that. All right. So, next week.
Oh, man.
I'm going to give you a choice.
Oh, dear.
Okay. We could go to a really depressing song from the 70s that is just god-awful. I think it's god-awful. We could go to one of the few big hits from my dad's era, the pre-Beatles era. An amazing kick-ass rock song that you don't think of between 1960 and 1963 because there really weren't any. Or we could go to another sellout song of the 80s that's been dissected a lot, but it's still worth another trip to the scalpel.
I'm going to say let's go back to your dad's rock song.
All right. We are going to go to 1961, and I just love this song. I love everything about it. It's Del Shannon's Runaway.
Ah, all right. It's not quite the car crash ballad, but it's in that theme.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's about heartache, but it's sure. I don't think anyone dies in that one. I just love this song. I think it's just one of the best rock songs ever written. Or maybe ever produced.
Well, I don't really know anything about it, so I will look forward to learning something.
I would look forward to your input, you being sort of the music theorist, especially with the organ part of it.
All right. Well, we will chat next week then.
All right. Sounds good. Stay safe, everybody.